What I'm saying. Every time I've ever used this, it's never showed up this way.
Now see,
I know,
now
but
it says excellent.
I can't edit the name of my show. They've done something strange to it. All right. Guess we're going to have to deal with it and name it later. I guess we're live.
Okay.
Hey, Teresa. They changed something on YouTube on me, so I can't edit the name of our live show. I don't know why. They keep doing stuff. Carla says, hi, Siofra and Ian. How was your week? It was pretty good. Week was good. And not only that, doesn't where's my timer? My timer's gone too. Now I don't know how long we're live. All right, I guess we'll have to watch the clock. They've changed everything.
Timer's right there.
Oh, it's up there. They moved it. Okay. Interesting. Melissa says, hello, Siofra. Hi, Melissa. Sorry as I'm trying to figure out what I'm up to. And Carla said, awesome grid charging, you guys. Thank you so much for the assist. Yes, you're welcome. And it was lots of fun. I really enjoyed it. Trinity says, hey, Siofra and Ian, glad to catch you this week. Hope you're doing well, listening while making supper. Awesome. Have a good cook. Yep. They're changing everything about what I'm doing here. Now they've moved it so that I can't see the clock where I used to see it, so then I have to move my thingies around, and I don't see myself anymore, so in order to see the clock, I have to cover my face.
What do you mean?
That's what I mean. To be able to see people's messages the way I pop it out. But I don't need to see what I look like, I guess, in particular. Changes.
Changes.
Yep. They keep changing stuff on me. I don't like it. They moved it around. They moved everything.
I just wanted to reference Bowie.
Is that what? All right.
Turn around. Strange change.
Okay, how about if I do it that way? Then I can still see the clock. And I can see people's conversations. And I can sort of see me. All right. Carla says, I did my rage rock on Friday and I can feel the mind shift. I don't think I bitched at one thing online the past couple of days. Awesome. It's probably a good sign. Well, you guys asked me to do wands and I did 8 of them. 2 of them are already sold. I brought them in so I can show them off at some point. Teresa says, and YouTube doesn't warn you in advance? Nope. They just do stuff. We just got on, it was all different. I'm like, what? Yeah, they have a mind of their own. They just do their thing. They don't care what we think. We just have to adapt. Like, here we are adapting. In real time, as a matter of fact. I mean, usually when I start, I get to edit the name of the show so I can change the date. So, we know that it's today. When I get off, now I have to do that separate, I guess. Melissa says, we are just mere humans. It's probably an AI thing. And Carla says, I have the most expensive taste, of course. That pet wood myrtle wand is something. Petrified wood, yes. I really like that one. Yep, that's this one here. That's a nice one. Got obsidian and labradorite on it, I think it is. Yep. It's a nice wand. And it is. It's a power wand. There's no doubt about it. It's one of those like, yep, gonna get you. And Melissa says, you sell your work? Yes, I do. It's all on my Etsy page. This is one of the wands that's up there. Have a nice simple amethyst wand here. And this is on myrtle as well. I tried to make them shorter because people asked me to, so I did. I have that one.
I kind of closer to up there.
And then I have this one here. This is quartz and prehnite. It's kind of interesting. The prehnite, I like this. I like the prehnite beads.
Here, let me see that.
Experimenting with.
Hold it closer so people. Of course, now I can't see the picture yet.
That's okay.
Yep.
I can see it. Yeah, there it is.
That distance is a little hard to see.
Well, that's why they can go to my site and they can look at the pictures. But yes, so there's that one. All right, and then there's this one, and this is Chinese turquoise and blue magnesite, which is often used as turquoise, and it is on fur. That one. And this one is this is a little powerhouse wand. This is a green and red adventurine on rosemary. And this rosemary wood comes from my garden, from my own rosemary bush. It's amazing how thick the wood can get when it grows to the size it was like 7 feet tall or something. And I had that. And then this one is an amethyst top with clear what white quartz on the sides. They have there. This is apple. This is a very gentle kind of wood. It's an apple wood wand. So there's that one. So all of these 6 are on my Etsy page. So yeah, I'm having fun. And I have some more in the works, so I'll get more up there. Carla says, that's absolutely beautiful. Melissa says, ooh, interesting and different. Carla says, I haven't seen that. I love that too. Bree says, that's a pretty wand. And Brianna says, hey everyone. Hi, Brianna. Carla says, the prehnite quartz. And Brianna says, I love that green one. Wow. Melissa says, let's go kick butt. Yeah, and the 2 I sold, if you want to see them, this one, I really like this one. This has got tourmaline and amazonite, pop, and amethyst in it. This one, when I put it up on my site, went immediately. That was the first one that sold from the site. That one's already gone.
It's a little bit harder to tell from these pictures here, but the wire wrapping is exquisite.
And then this one here also sold, and this is raw chalcedony and angelite beads. So, and this is on myrtle. Nice thick piece of myrtle. That one already sold. So those are the 2 that are leaving tomorrow. Brianna says, I might need to buy a wand from you. I don't have a wand yet. Well, there you go. Get to my Etsy site. It's first come, first served. Teresa says the Chinese turquoise wand is super. Yeah.
A lot of hearts.
Lots of hearts. Melissa says, what would happen if you put your signature on it? Well, I don't know, because although I'm making the wands, I expect the people who buy them are going to also charge them up and make them their own. I don't know if I put my signature on it, would that interfere with that? But but they are kind of sort of, me connecting to the wood. I harvested all the wood myself, and connecting to the energy of the wood, what it wants me to put on it, the energy of the stones that I choose to pick, doing the wire wrap stuff on it, and putting my energy into it. Definitely has a fair amount of my energy in creating the combination and feeling the energy of the wand, how it wants to be and what works for it and so forth. So people say often when they buy my wands that they're already somewhat charged when they get them. They can tell that there's an energy already present. Of course, I work with living wood and living spirits, tree spirits, so it's not just a piece of wood. It's like a being, cooperative being, and whatnot. So, as it says, you are also an artist. It's true. I am an artist, but I don't know about signing my wands. People will know that they're from me. Like, I guess I'll give it some thought. Baby girls. Ibby says, "Hello everyone, blessed Sunday." Hi Ibby. Melissa says, "Your signature would be nice." My thoughts. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And Brianna says, "Yep, yep." Yeah, they are definitely one of a kind, unique creations by me. So that's what I was up to. You guys asked for it, and I did it. And most of them are 15 inches or less, so they're not super super long. So, person who was wanting something shorter, there are some shorter options now. Me personally, I end up with big long ones, but yeah. So anyway, I felt very inspired, and also been doing more wire wrapping, and I made this one recently. I know I'm wearing it. This is a lapis. I haven't gotten all of the actual jewelry pieces up yet. I've been taking pictures and so forth, but it takes a long time for me to look at the piece after I put it up and then what to say about the stones I'm using and the energy of the stones and so forth, so people have a better idea of what kind of energy they're getting and whatnot. So, but this one I finished this one yesterday. Melissa says maybe someday a wand would be lost and someone finds it. Teresa says I usually don't sign my work if it's for magical purposes in case my energy gets mixed into someone who is doing negative workings. Yeah, Ron says hello and bright blessings to all and an early happy Yule. Thank you, Ron. Welcome. And we're in for a week of rain apparently in the Pacific Northwest, but most of the heavy rain is north of us. There's like flood warnings throughout the state starting today. I guess we're getting some atmospheric rivers, and we're definitely getting clouds and rain and so forth here, but it's the majority, the heavy part of the storm is going to be north of us, so that's good. We don't have to worry about downtown flooding because it's good at flooding downtown.
Yeah, overall, not only are we in overall the best climate in general, we're probably in the best place overall because down south more you get more road slides and things
and wind
you can't get through.
Yeah.
And up north we get a lot more flooding and freezing.
Yep. So Brianna says, I have a lot of fog where I'm at. Carla says, can myrtle be passed on or any of the woods used in your wands? Some can't, like my ash will have to be broken or kept in storage when I die. I think that's entirely up to you. I mean, my daughter's going to be the executor of my estate, so she will be the one who decides where all of my wands go, but I don't want them destroyed because they're alive. And it's a different, you're sort of more responsible for it that way. But yeah, so. Ibby says, laugh out loud again. I said, chit changes right before you. Great minds. Miss Bowie so much. Sniff. Carla says, you can't pass ash. Who said that? I mean, I've never heard that before, that you can't pass an ash wand. I don't have any of those, so maybe it's never come up. Ron says, am I seeing stars in that violet colored top? You're seeing stars, yes. I have sparkles. There are lots of sparkles. My daughter gave me this, and she knows that I like sparkles, and I like purple, so she gave me purple sparkles. She knows me well. Teresa says, so cold here. I resorted to watching a crackling fire video to try to stay warm. Just finished chicken rice soup, which helped. Good. I'm sorry it's cold. Blue Lotus says, magically speaking, what should one do this month? Well, it's the Yule, month of Yule, and the winter solstice for at least in the north, the summer solstice for the people in the south. So it's definitely one of the months where we got some definite major shift in energy coming. The sun is going to get the longest night is coming, and then the sun will start to come back right after that. So this is a good time of year for doing inner work, shadow work, that kind of thing, and family, I think, so forth. Carla says, or at least that's the tradition. I hate when I press end before I'm ready. Send, I think you meant, but yes. Brianna says, I found a movie you would like, Siofra. It's called The Legend of Ochi. Okay. Debbie says, gorgeous wands. Thank you. I'm really liking that Chinese turquoise. I've got another piece mounted that I can make into a wand. So, some of them I made into jewelry as well. And it's just a really nice, light energy. It's quite lovely. Ron says, I thought maybe it was your aura. Melissa says, do you know any snow spells? No, not particularly. I don't know. To make snow, to use snow. I mean, snow is water, so cold, which also relates to water as an elemental factor, because water is generally cold as far as it goes.
That's one of its properties. Things colder.
Now, Carlos says that was just in a book about magical properties of wood, like not even a book with a specific practice, other than of a pagan variety. Okay, so someone just heard that from somewhere and wrote it down, and everyone reads it and decides that it's true. I gotcha. Okay. Melissa says, love snow. Yeah, I'm not fond of it anymore. I mean, I like to see it and look at it, but
yeah, I never got around so well with the cold myself. So.
Well, I mean, when I lived up north and it was it was frozen solid. You could walk on top of the snow, and the snow was several feet deep. I mean, it's beautiful when the sunlight or the moonlight hits it, and it's all sparkly and whatnot. And yeah. Brianna says it's a beautiful film about a girl who runs away with a little forest creature. It has a good messages about the primordial feminine and masculine in nature. Okay, I think that's on Netflix, or I think it's on Netflix. I think I've seen it go by. Teresa says, Melissa, there is a snow goddess. Carla says, that's what I'm guessing about. Someone wrote it down and everyone passed it on. Melissa says, oh, snow goddess? I forgot. Slavic? Carla says, all right, I'll just delete that information and pass it on to my kid. Well, I mean, I would research the story about it. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But really, we often do that where we see something, it imprints, and then we just sort of accept it as a fact, whether it's a true fact or not. And it could depend upon, I don't know, your history, your background, your culture, and all kinds of other things as well. I just never heard of it before. Teresa says, Melissa, Ion is one. She is Greek. That fella says, hello, question I wanted to ask you. I'm here, ask away. Melissa says, thank you, Teresa. I'm sure there's lots of snow goddesses. Waiting for the question from fella. Ron says, maybe craft a tiny snow person. As it melts, use it some type of releasing magic. That actually sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that would work. And Brianna says, I saw it on HBO Max. I thought it was just going to be a cute movie, but it turned out to be deep I think it was a commentary on what would heal the world. I don't want to give away spoilers. Okay, thank you. That fella says, are there any spirits or such that helps with astral projection? I heard a lot about it. Also, hope you are well. Thank you. Spirits that help with astral projection?
Barton gives several. I can't think of the name of any of them off the top of my head.
That would be in his book, his evocation book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And look for in the beings of sun girdling the earth or in the moon
yeah.
sections.
I'm sure that there are, but we don't know exactly who they are. We'd have to look them up. One of those things you don't keep on the tip of your fingers.
Yeah, I'd have to go grab the book to dig up Barton's. I know one of them, the sigil almost looks like a large moth.
It's magical evocation, right?
Practice.
The practice of magical evocation. That would be where there's a whole list of spirit beings. Brianna says, but I was pleasantly surprised on the sensitivity and intelligence. Pagans would love it. There's not even a lot of words in it, but it does a good job of communicating without being preachy. Ella says, thank you very much for answering. You're welcome. We try. I mean, what we can, we do. One of those things. We do what we can. I have a stone that helps me with getting into and determining the differences between my different bodies, like my physical body, my astral body, my mental body, and my spirit body. And it's a piece of polychrome jasper. I'm not sure if all polychrome jasper helps with that, but this one definitely helped me with that. I could tell as soon as I held it in my hand and closed my eyes, I could feel this distinction between the four bodies in me. And I think knowing that and understanding the differences between them can only help you with either astral or mental projection. And generally speaking, we recommend mental projection rather than astral projection, especially in the beginning, because it's safer. Teresa says, I was wondering if elementals have souls. If not, why not? No, they do not have souls. And that's because they are just composed of an element.
A single element. Yeah. However, their lifetime is almost like infinite. I mean,
right.
not quite, but it's like
they
really
can exist
super long
almost
lifetimes.
forever.
Yeah.
Right, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But a soul is defined as like something that can come back as something else, reincarnation. It has the element of spirit in it, which is what we qualify as the soul. And an elemental, by definition, does not have the element of akaja in it. It has the element of fire, the element of water, the element of earth, or the element of air, and that's all it has. So, Robert says polychrome jasper is great. Yeah, it is. I liked it very much. That fellow says noted. Ron says, and ice is a crystal, snow is millions of ice crystals. Just some idea fodder. Yes. There's lots and lots of crystals in there. And Ibby says, I have still never experienced snow. One day I would like to see it in person at least once. That fella, you don't need an afterlife if you can go for eternity. Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're just existing. Robert says, hello all. Hail. Laugh out loud. Hi, Robert. Carlos says, what are you guys doing for solstice? I don't know. Probably staying home. Yep. And enjoying our peace and quiet. And we haven't made any plans. We're cooking our turkey this coming week, the one I bought before Thanksgiving. I got an organic bird because I can't take leftovers from what the rest of the family cooks because they always get those turkeys that are injected with some liquid in them that have MSG and other chemicals and so forth in them that my body doesn't like. I have to spend more money and buy a turkey that's organic. So we're going to do that, just the two of us. We'll have some fun meals coming and leftovers and everything else. But we haven't made any specific plans this year. It's like at some point I get tired of having to plan things for everybody. And I'm like, you guys, you got the energy, you go and do it. And if you know it's around me and you invite me, I might come and I might not. Like, I've done so many of these over the years. Brianna says, yeah, I don't like leaving my body, but I'll walk around my room in the astral and throw the stagnant energy out my window. So a seer would see all this stuff flying out my window. Robert says, I have eternal patience. Good for you. That's a hard one to have. Carla says, I can't astral project. We're staying home too. Robert says, not anymore. Teresa says, yes, yet with elementals, they seem to understand concepts, at least as I have sensed. Do they have selves? I don't know how to describe that.
Well, yeah, it's a
I'm sure that they have some differences between the elementals and stuff like that, but they have more commonalities than differences. And they can come and go. They can be created and instantly destroyed. Some of them will stay a long time, some of them won't. And really,
so they don't have a consciousness that's like human consciousness. It's more like what you might think of like an animal consciousness. So it's not actually an animal consciousness either, because animals have our four elements. So they have a form of consciousness. Um,
they're very focused on their job, whatever it happens to be.
yeah. So I don't know, more than that.
But again,
It's
this
hard
is
to
just
get,
humans
yeah.
trying to intellectualize things and define things and put them in boxes and stuff. And it's, you experience them and determine for yourself what you think. Carla says, we don't like the turkey with the injected stuff either. We get a turkey brand called Honeysuckle White. Robert says, yep, I hate planning, makes my head spin. Trinity says, would the Inuit goddess Sedna be considered a snow goddess even though she's tied into the sea life? She'd be a cold goddess. I don't know if she'd be snow. Carla says, I'm not sure if that's a regional or national brand. Brianna says, Carla, whoops. So, I sold like to, but if I do, I just walk around my house and kick out or punch spirits. I don't. I don't like to. Okay. Carla says, Brianna, haha. Barbara says, Siofra, do you read books from secret societies? Not usually. I don't do much reading from books at the moment, at this point, because I've read so many books in my life and I'm more experiential. I use them for reference material sometimes.
Because if you ask me that, I have all sorts of books from societies that were in our secret, including like the Golden Dawn and the OTOs published stuff. And there's a couple of books that got given to members when I was a member of the OTO that were published by the OTO, but they don't contain any hidden information or like that. It's all public information. So I have a bunch of books about secret societies. I don't know that, in general, they haven't published them, but other people have published the books about them. We do have a couple. There's what is that called? The Aurum Solus, which is a secret society that Llewellyn published up all their stuff. They were around in the 1900s sometime. So, but I'm at the point now where I read less stuff also, because I've got all the information stuffed into us now. It's succeeding at the practices.
So Robert adds, hello, Carla and Brianna. And Fella says, at least they can't discriminate. Ron says, a friend is roasting a goose with cornbread and cranberry stuffing. I better get some. That fella says, the elementals, I mean. At least they don't discriminate. Okay. They can't discriminate. Carla says, because of you guys and Siofra and Ian, I can see my aura. Not all the time, only if I consciously look for it. I saw my cats. Awesome.
For what it's worth, that book on evocation by Barden also includes the details and aspects of several elemental heads, one for each of the elements. If you have a desire to get in contact with the elementals, and tells you their range of action, etc.
Brianna says, it doesn't hurt them, but I was just testing out if I can fight in the astral. I was fighting with entities when I was little and thought it was dreams, but I realized I was a little scrapper. Well, good for you. And I think, yes, you can in the astral. And it's like,
Yeah.
definitely defending yourself. It's always a good thing, in my opinion. Got to have boundaries, no matter where you are.
Yeah, the old Golden Dawn stuff material, speaking of old secret society material, has a lot of stuff on dealing with protecting yourself from astral entities and things. I don't know that that would be my recommendation anymore, but they do have lots of information.
Yep. Carla says, hi, Robert. Melissa says, thanks, Trinity. Blue Lotus says, do spirits or fae make a buzzing sound at night, like a very low electrical device sound, or is it something else? I often hear that buzzing sound, and usually I think it's either the energy or the spirit beings, and sometimes it's quite loud. Sometimes I can hear almost a voice beneath it. Um, and yeah, and sometimes my body gets very electric. All my cells start buzzing,
Kundalini does that too.
it makes it difficult to sleep when that happens. I feel like, oh great, this is not going to be much fun. All my cells are buzzing at frequencies I can't understand. But yeah, and some people might think it's tinnitus or tinnitus, but if you don't have it on a regular basis, not a medical condition, it's something else. Robert says, I started to sing mantras. In doing so, I scared all the birds around. My voice needs tuning. Oh, scaring birds with your voice. Oh, poor birds. Poor
Well,
you.
Gotta be pretty quiet not to scare birds with your voice.
Yeah, that's true.
They're pretty kiddish.
Carlos says, I was blown away by the card that was drawn after the grid charging. The purple, the field, the deer, then the message. It was pretty awesome. I thank you for sharing that with me. And Brianna says, hey, Robert. And Robert says, the card blew you away. Being a literal person, apparently. Where did you land? And Brianna says, yep, self-defense, but humans are funny. We just hit stuff and we don't understand it, much like cats do. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes.
The things that cats will hit. Apparently cucumbers are one of the things they don't like. Carla says, it sounds like cicadas, water, radio station channels. Yep, that's what it sounds like to me too. Or cicadas. I guess that's cicadas. I'm glad we don't get them. I've never heard the cicadas. It's like, my sister has, but it sounds like it would be quite annoying if you had to be in the middle of it while it was happening. Quite loud. Ron says, yippee, my neighbor wants me to go help her with her commode. Oh, I'm sorry. And Carla says, could knock me over with a feather, Robert. Coulda, yeah. Robert says, Ian, the lesser banishing ritual? What about it?
Yep, that's definitely one of the ones. I did that myself
For like a year.
years back. I did it for about 2 years,
2 years.
2 or 3 years, for about twice a day, every day. And you really build up some oomph to it. Now I do it like every once in a while, and since I practiced it so much, it's like bringing out a cannon or something. Usually doing it once will like just eradicate whatever issue is pestering me at this point.
And that's the thing, the more often you do the same kind of ritual moves or sounds or words or whatever, it builds up a charge. And then each successive time adds to the charge you've already built up, and it gets easier and easier and stronger. It's one of the reasons why repetition in magic is so important.
Yeah, that's why, talismans and things, I'll usually charge them multiple times. I'll charge it up as much as I can, then I'll wait and I'll charge it up some more in another couple of days or something.
Yeah, I came up with like a description of what it's like when you're trying to use energy, especially in the beginning, and it's like drawing something in water. You can see it as it goes, and then it just sort of vanishes. And that's what it's like when you first start. It's like you're doing something, and it doesn't really necessarily seem like it has any. It doesn't sustain. It doesn't have an effect. But the more you do it, the denser the water gets, and then it starts to go into like some more solid kind of stuff, and it becomes more real. I don't know how else to describe it. Brianna says, I hate cicadas, ew. Pokemon says, sorry, I pressed something wrong. I'm sorry too. Whatever it was. Trinity says, is there a good herb to use for incense for the season? Well, this time of year, for winter, I don't know.
Well,
Cedar. Cedar would be good. Certainly is seasonal, but it's good year round. The cedar makes a nice incense.
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
You could collect the cedar berries, and they're kind of cute. I did that once. I think they might only come out in the spring, though, not in the winter.
Yeah, my brain goes more towards elemental aspects, so um, mint is an excellent uh, water-based stuff. But if you try using it for incense, which I did once, I made some peppermint incense with peppermint oil. It makes your eyes cold. It's very strange. You burn it, it goes in the air, and it smells nice and minty. And it's actually cool. It's good watery incense, but it makes your eyes cold, and then it's unpleasant after that.
It's like, oh, my eyes are freezing. Help me.
It's an interesting sensation, yes. So I, you know, I have no good suggestions.
Barbara says, anytime, Carla. Yeah, well, does using singing bowls help protect our astral? Well, singing bowls are just nice to have. I use them to sort of change and shift the energy in the room where I am. And I sometimes use it after I've cast a circle. And I use the sound to go around the circle I've already cast and all the different directions and stuff like that, and make the sphere of energy and so forth, and let it slowly fade off, and it kind of like sets things in place.
So I would say in general that if you focus on using it to protect you in the astral, then yes. If you don't, it might provide a little bit, but not all that much. It's just a sound. But there's also, if you get used to using it and use things like that ritually, like example over and over again, you can make it powerful for protecting in the astral if you want. And some cultures use things like bell ringing and the singing bowls and tapping on them type of thing. With bell ringing, a lot of times it's the amount of times you ring it 7 times for Venus or 3 times for Saturn or something like that.
And in folk magic, bells are used for chasing away negative spirits. Negative beings don't like the sound of bells. So a lot of times you use that to clear the air,
for like
as
a
it were.
cleansing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Orient, I think they have more of a tendency to use things like bells and mirrors to reflect the spirits away and bad things away and things like that. And I think mirrors are a good thing to use too.
Yeah, fella says that explains repetition in religion with prayers and all. Well, yeah, I mean mantras and in Hindu prayers, everything is like repetition.
Yeah,
There's a reason for it for sure.
Even if there isn't a lot to a let's assume a fictional religion, and even if there wasn't a lot to it, but if you keep repeating a prayer or a mantra or something like that with a certain intent, and you do it enough times, it's going to end up functioning for that purpose, even if it's inappropriate. However, uh, using something inappropriate is like swimming upstream, whereas using something appropriate is like swimming downstream. Upstream you can make it work, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's much better to use appropriate things.
Right, something that's already sort of established as
Yeah.
direction and stuff like that, and its purpose.
Yeah, previously established prayers or invocations, things are most rapidly useful, I'll say. because you don't have to charge them up as much. to start
Carla
with.
says, my grid charging wand is getting stronger and stronger. I know I can use it for other things, but I haven't. Ron says, so I better get going. Blessings to all and a better new year. Okay, good luck with the
Goodbye,
toilet.
blessings to you.
Robert says, better new year, Ron. Carla says, I take it when you go Aurora chasing, though? I take it with when we go Aurora chasing, though. I see. Okay, gotcha. That took me a second to figure out what that was. Yes, like we have a G3 magnetic storm right now, so maybe you'll get some auroras. Maybe says maybe wintergreen or some type of mint for incense.
Yeah, I'd be careful with that because you get at the same thing out of wintergreen. It'll end up burning your eyes. It doesn't really work for an incense, but
A smell, a scent, maybe, but
yeah, something that is generally I don't know. I'd have to search through books and find something, but yeah, winter is like the water element, so in general, winter is like cooling, contracting, like hibernating, staying indoors, kind of keeping yourself in that kind of feel. So any type of incense that gives you that type of thing, stay in, don't go outside, pleasant smelling. Maybe if you want to get the season something that has something reminiscent of the season that makes you think of it. A person could use a little cinnamon, which is also good for a Venus aspect, which is a bit of a cooling influence. Of course, you have to watch out for cinnamon again. That's another dangerous incense. You want just a touch of it as an incense, but things like that might remind you of things cooked up for the winter season, or baked.
well, I think it'd be
Baked stuff
better
for Christmas.
if you were going to
or-
look for the winter smells to throw some apples and some cinnamon in a pot of boiling water and just let the
that too,
smell
yeah.
come into the space. You don't have to use it as an incense.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
You can do that, and that won't make your eyes go so much.
Well, if you're gonna drink, you have to use it
Yeah.
a little bit, but yeah, things
Yeah,
like
so
that.
Brianna says,
in
Ian
general.
says my eyeballs are refreshed.
Uh,
Carla says, I think I saw something about a flare heading towards Earth, but not sure if we'd see it. No, we wouldn't see it. If a flare actually succeeded in going 93 million miles from the sun to here, we'd probably be dead. So, yeah, it doesn't go that far, thank goodness. Pokemon says, I don't know why YouTube said I wrote a report, but I haven't. Okay, we haven't seen anything, so we don't know. Robert says maybe he meant eyelids. And Pokemon, the AI of YouTube is weird.
is-
And Carla says, I have bells on my doors. So do I. I got witches' bells on my doors, so whenever I open the door and close the door, the bells will ring. Ding, ding. Melissa said, what does history say about them not liking bells? I don't know. That's why wind chimes and bells and things like that, they just have a tradition. The sound is a nice sound. I guess if you were a Christian, they would think that it was because of church bells, the idea that calling people to service or something like that would make the evil spirits think of
Well,
God
it's
or
just- it's
something.
It's kind of the sudden interruption of things too. That's why, like banging pans around when you do the clearing inside a house, you're going round and round, and with the mantra, and you bang pots and pans and things, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Sudden sounds are supposed
Sounds.
to startle them and what have you, make them scared and run away. I guess because you're dealing with more, in general, with that type of thing, you're dealing more with animal-like spirits in the sense that they don't have big IQs and they aren't evil plotting. They're just like, you know, kind of like animals. They're around.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Robert says, nice bells. Don't want to make that mistake on the chat room. And I have black tourmaline near the front door. And black tourmaline's good to keep negative beings away, for sure. Pokemon says, I'm just watch. Well, welcome for watching. Carla says, someone asked me earlier if I burn bayberry candles for Yule. I don't, but maybe hand-dipped bayberry candles could be a winter smell. And Melissa says, that could be. Robert says, I use white candles in the winter. Ella says, beside it being practically good, how useful is yoga and going to the gym to occult or spiritual practice, besides practicality with health and all? it helps you to get in touch with your body and with yourself and with your essential core of who you are, and be in your body enough to be able to pay attention to the voice of your body. Has its own voice, its own kind of consciousness. Each individual cell in your body does, and so it helps to attune your abilities, um, to be paying attention to all of the different communications that your body is trying to tell you, warnings or needs, or whatever it might be. And it can turn out to be extremely helpful and useful. And it also helps you with being grounded, which is very important if you're going to walk a magical path, because being grounded is the thing that keeps you from just going all out into a flight of fancy and leaving everything sensible or reasonable or common ground behind, and ending up in the rarefied atmosphere where the only thing that makes sense is what's in your own head and nothing else truly connects. And so, yoga is a really good one for all of your bodies, I think, as far as it goes, because it brings that awareness, and it helps with meditation. Helps quiet the mind by using the body. I don't know, the gym, I don't have that much experience in, but I'm sure that it could be useful that way too, uh, and certainly good for your bones, etc., as far as the physicality is concerned. But yeah, I definitely think that those things are good for occult practices. Robert says, Siofra, I see that on YouTube. What is a baby witch? Oh, that's an annoying thing that someone came up with and decided to call people who are new to the craft baby witches. And it's just sort of a way of supposedly delineating experience, I guess, I'm assuming. It seems sort of denigrating to me and annoying, and yet another way of separating people out. So, but some people like to say that they're a baby witch because they want other people to not expect too much from them, that they don't understand everything, and if they make a mistake or they say something wrong, it's because they have a lack of experience or something, I'm assuming. I don't know, it's just one of those.
I wanted to mention on the previous question, I had to run out of the room to get some eye stuff for my eyes.
Speaking of eyes.
Yeah. But I would point out a couple of different things. Hatha yoga, which is this standard yoga, will balance out the energies within your body and assist with the kundalini flow and the energy through your nadis, which are your you might call them spiritual nerves where energy flows through. And so that not only helps with your physical health, but also your emotional health and your mental health, and helps prepare you for a higher spirituality. Uh, you could read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and that gives more of the mystical aspects of the yoga, whereas the movements are the physical aspect to balance out your energies and things. And then there's the other aspect, which should, in my opinion, go along with the hatha yoga movement. You should know this if you're doing hatha yoga to have it be effective. But there's also other types of yoga, including jnana yoga, kriya yoga, and other things which are not physical movement nature in of the physical movement nature. They are other types of practices, things that help with your spirituality and kundalini awakening and that. So.
And when I taught yoga for years and practiced yoga for a lot from early 20s, I guess, on. And one of the things that I found was that becoming aware of your own body, and there's like different exercises, breathing exercises and so forth that you're doing, and becoming aware, and then becoming aware of your energy centers. The corpse pose has actually got a lot of stuff going on in it. It's sort of what Ian is describing. It's more energetic. It's not a movement exercise at all, but it's an awareness of going down into your body, going up your spine, paying attention to what's happening in your energy centers and so forth, and becoming aware of them, and trying not to change them, but be an observer. And that in itself is quite a powerful exercise. So, yeah. So baby girl says, or Ibby, Ibby girl, Siofra, do you have any advice, strategies for determining where one has blocked meridians and chakras and how to clear them so the chi can flow freely? Thank you. Well, I look into going qigong as a practice. That can really help a lot, from what I hear. Another movement exercise kind of a thing, but it works with the meridians. And when we were in massage school, we did a tapping on the meridians to help with the flow. So the direction that the flow is in, like there's three meridians that go down from your chest and down the inside of your arm, and you can go through and you can sort of tap those like that to activate them. Then they go down the outside of your arm, tap them that way. Then you have one that goes all the way down your back, all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And then you have one that goes down the sides. And then you have the one that goes down the front. And then you've got the outside of the legs, and then it goes up on the inside of the legs. So you can sort of move the direction of the meridians and just help in general with the flow of the energy and so forth. And it was kind of a nice exercise. We would do that before we started doing massage classes when we were learning shiatsu and so forth.
Tai Chi also
Yeah.
is made to move that energy. And again, if you want to get the most out of Tai Chi, it's not just the movements. Just doing the movements won't get you very much at all. You have to do it with a proper focus. With, you keep your head straight. You move from the place that's called the Hara, which is actually the Manipura chakra. It's the one just under your navel. Your movements come from there. Your energy is stored from there. If you're doing Tai Chi right, the energy comes up from the legs through a point in the center of your feet, the bubbling wells point. And you pay attention to the breathing, the movements. You have to do Tai Chi for it to work properly. Your muscles have to be as totally relaxed as you can make them while you're doing the movements so that the energy flows through them. It's all about the energy movement. If you do Tai Chi and you're not focused on the energy movement, doing just the movements, you're not getting much benefit out of it at all, just a tiny amount of exercise. To get it to work right, you have to be aware of the energy, focus on it, breathe with it, use it, let it flow through you.
Yeah. The more you can become aware of that kind of stuff, the better, whatever the practice is.
Yeah.
So Carla says, I've seen that too, baby witch. Robert says, yeah, Carla, most of these channels are also weird and off track on witchcraft usually. Bella says, can you make a non-magical text like works of Shakespeare into a spell book? Someone mentioned using Romeo and Juliet for love and protection. Romeo and Juliet for love and protection? I'm sorry, they died. I'm not sure how much of
a lot of these ideas people come up with are just like trying to paddle a boat upstream, Why not take something that's already made for the purpose and that's been used for the purpose for like hundreds of years, of which there are lots of them.
The most tragic love tale ever written for love and protection.
Yeah, I mean, like if you start examining like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, it's a lot more than a banishing ritual, and especially the Kabbalistic cross is incredible for getting your vibes up and getting your aura charged up. And I mean, these things were made for that by masters who knew it. Why you got something that's created by masters and made for that purpose has been used for, well, at least 120 years. And so in the case of the Golden Dawn, I mean, you got this old things that have been charged up for years by lots and lots of people using them. Why not use that? Why pound something that wasn't made for the purpose into place to make it fit,
Force it in.
I mean, yes, you can, but why do it the hard way? Sorry, it's just me.
And Carla says, which talks stuff, Robert? There are a couple that come up on my Facebook feed who are pretty on point. I know the ones I see sometimes have Gaia in the name. They're British. And yes, absolutely, fella, just switch some wording to make it personal. Fella says, that's what I was thinking with Romeo and Juliet stuff. Yeah, it just sort of pops straight up to the surface. Carla says, I used the song as a spell and changed the words a bit. It's working. The secrets are coming out. You can use about anything. I mean, if it is personal for you, if it has a personal link that generates a connection to your own personal power, then
Yeah,
it's going
it
to have
helps
an
if it can
effect.
generate an emotional response. In fact,
Exactly.
Crowley sometimes when he got desperate and ran out of magical invocations and things would just start singing some poetry that he knew just to keep his will focused on accomplishing the effect. And he ended up using some totally non-appropriate things sometimes just because he had the will to go on and he was out of ideas, and it worked. So you can, make anything work in a pinch.
Brianna says, I'm going to use the Care Bears for psychic protection. They are chakra colors.
Aha.
That's if you subscribe to the rainbow system. This is true. Carla says, so maybe not Romeo and Juliet, but yeah. I wasn't thinking about them dying.
Well, hey, whatever works for you. I mean, people made fun of Crowley for some of the stuff that he would use, for Swinburne and some of the others of his time. But really, if it helped him to work, then that's good. I mean, if Romeo and Juliet works for you, then it works. Whatever works.
So
Really.
Gaga says, have you heard of the Book of Wisdom by Harry B. Joseph? It's supposed to contain the knowledge of the Freemasons. I haven't.
Well, I haven't heard of it, but the knowledge of the Freemasons at this point is no big secret. It's all pretty much out there. You can find it. The OTO considers themselves the esoteric Freemasons. That the esoteric knowledge was in there.
I think it's the Scottish Rite that is more the magical side of the Freemasons.
In general, yeah.
In general. Not the regular.
But yeah, the OTO considers itself to have some Templar secrets and some Freemasonry in there. At least I should say the outer degrees are considered as esoteric Freemasonry.
Ella says Crowley used appropriate things.
Well, yeah, not everything used was inappropriate. Just many of them.
Brianna says the lesser banishing with the Care Bears is elemental heads.
There you go.
Bella says, I think of William Blake poetry. He was spiritually active and he helped me, so feels the closest to home.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Crowley quoted some Blake now and then again. Some of his things he.
Well, there's a lot of, magically oriented poetry out there. Doreen Valiente has got some marvelous magical poetry and stuff.
Crowley's voice was very high pitched. I used to have a
Funny.
recording of him. He's very high pitched voice. I had a recording of him doing one of his invocations.
It does not sound like you think it should.
It sounds like he must be about 4'5" high.
Oh God, it's
Yep,
terrible.
little tiny guy. You wouldn't expect it.
Nope. It's pretty funny.
Of course, it was an old cassette tape, and I'm sure they couldn't record any of the bass on his voice. That was part of it. But yeah.
Carla says, has anyone seen the witch that comes up in Facebook Reels who weaves spells into songs? No, not me. But there's a lot, music and sound and stuff like that is often incorporated into magic. That's like we have songs that we sing or sounds that we make or so forth. Anything that will help focus your attention and your will and your energy to a specific purpose or a specific kind of energy that you're trying to raise and so forth. That's why drums and singing and bells and all this other stuff are a part of ritual, because it assists with that and it helps to kind of short circuit the conscious part of the brain, the part that judges everything you're doing. It allows you to kind of be in it, as well as dancing and movement and anything that takes you out of the intellect, really, because a lot of times the intellect is the thing that tries to crush what you're doing and judge it. Not all of the time, but a lot of the time. So Carla says, ooh, and has anyone checked out Florence and the Machine's new album? Not my taste, but the witches called her. Martin says, hello from England. Hi, Martin, welcome. Bella says, is there any movie or any work of fiction that's really useful for occult work?
Well, I would say
I really like the movie The Keepers. It actually has some wonderful magical stuff in it that seemed very genuine. But I'm not sure how you would use it for occult work. They have some wonderful poetry in there that every so often I think of rewatching that and trying to write it down because it was just so well done. I'm not sure exactly where they got it or whatever, but in general, yeah, you're going to get some director and writer's take on magic. So depending on their abilities, um, it's going to depend upon whether it's useful. And their prejudices and biases and so forth definitely come out. Brianna says, imagine someone seeing Care Bears servitors around my home in the astral. I'd be so psychically protected because it would just confuse intruders. That would be true. Carla says, I love the drumming circles. Yes, yes. Martin says, thank you. I just recently started to take an interest in old British cunning folk and witchcraft. I went out to cut some Hollywood a few nights ago, started to craft a wand. Awesome. That's good. Happy to hear it.
You know, for Bella's question there, I would say if you're looking for works of fiction, um, you can look to the people who wrote fiction that were in like the Golden Dawn, like Dion
I was
Fortune,
going to say her book, Sea
and look for
Priestess.
stuff in there. And Crowley wrote a book of fiction called Moonchild, and there's some older books written with some Rosicrucian leanings. One was that's considered to have a lot of real esoteric knowledge hidden underneath it. It's called Zanoni, and I don't know the author on that one, but it's an older book. Um, it relates to the Akasha and the Guardian of the Threshold and some of those aspects in it, not so directly magical related, but those types of things that were written by people who actually had real knowledge of magical stuff like that. Like Yeats was a member of the Golden Dawn, and so you'll find some echoes of that kind of stuff in some of his poetry, the supernatural and stuff.
So fellow says Zanoni, question mark?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's spelled. I can probably find out who wrote it right quick here. It should be able to just search it. It's an old book, so it's dated. I think it came out around the 1890s or something. It was Edward Bulwer Lytton. I can just cut and paste that. Yes, and this one is more useful for hints about the subject. Oh, I haven't seen that movie, so
You're skipping ahead.
skipping ahead.
Well,
What am I skipping ahead of?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, I see. I am skipping ahead. Yes. Where were you, dear?
So Martin says, thank you. I've just started to watch some videos on the wands that you crafted. Super interesting. Am I right to follow my intuition in my first wand crafting, or are there certain steps I should observe? I think your intuition is really important when it comes to creating a magical tool like that. Definitely. And I certainly, like your intuition, speaking to the wood and paying attention. Like if you try to put something on the wand and you get like some kind of like a reaction, then that's not going to work with it. And if you get a like then it is. That's how I work when I'm making my wands. The ones I just made, I made like 8 of them. You can rewind and go back to the beginning of the show and see all the wands I just put up on my Etsy shop this week. And you can have a look at those and see what you think. That idea, anyway. So Gaga says, I've not heard of the OTO. What knowledge is that?
Well, don't pay too much attention to it, but it's the Ordo Templi Orientis, or the Order of the Templars of the Orient. Basically, Crowley was the head of it for a while. It was not founded by Crowley. It was founded by a couple of esoteric people from the that had previously been in a group called the Hermetic Order of Light, and they claim to have the supreme secret in their highest degree, and up in the upper degrees, there's some secret sex magic stuff. Basically, they're esoteric Freemasons, and if you don't like Crowley, they're U.S. order, U.S. version of that order has fully accepted Crowley, and so the rituals have all been rewritten by him, and I would say probably for the better myself, but there is some versions of the original OTOs still out there that are not associated with Crowley. But yeah, that's basically it. They have some hermetic secrets that they keep in the upper degrees, and that's basically it. It is not a teaching order, so while you do get some knowledge, you're left to learn and practice on your own. It's mostly an experiential order that where you go through rituals, go through initiation rituals, and they prepare your psychic self, your psychic body for upper degrees and things. So you go through some energetic stuff and that.
And you have to pay to be in it, not
Yes.
free.
Yeah, there are. Well, any esoteric order nowadays has dues.
Right.
You know, they print a newsletter and that, so your dues pay for that kind of stuff. And they
So-
get pretty expensive.
So Brianna says A Dark Song was an interesting movie and had the Abramelin. It's horror, but it's about a woman summoning a guardian angel for vengeance.
Oh well, yeah, that wouldn't quite fit in with Abramelin stuff, but not for vengeance. But
Martin says,
sounds
great.
like a real
Thank you very
reference.
much. You're welcome. Ella says, can you spend a long time on the astral or dream realm, but only one night in this physical realm? It's a bad idea. You don't want to be too disconnected from the physical. So you want to spend more time in your body than out of it, in my opinion. And time is different in the astral, so it may seem like you're out there a lot longer than you actually are in physical reality too.
Yeah. So on the astral is timeless, but it has an aspect of space and form. The mental travel is timeless and spaceless. Mental body doesn't have a built-in form. It can take any shape you want it to. Sorry, I don't know if that's relevant, but the idea of the astral is timeless and spaceless, so it could seem like you spend a lot of time in the astral and you only spend one night here. A lot of that depends on your focus. The better you can focus, the longer it'll seem to take, and the more you'll be taking in.
So Carla says, Siofra, when I oiled my wand, I used frankincense essential oil, 3 kinds, and some other essential oils mixed in with mineral oil. Where do you source your raw frankincense?
Well, I'd certainly mix it in with olive oil myself over the mineral oil. Olive oil is a non-drying oil also.
And we also, when I looked up what I did with my wands previously, I did 4 applications of linseed oil, and then I did 2 applications of the frankincense mixed with olive oil.
Yeah.
For the finishing touches on my wands.
But actually, I'd recommend now frankincense mixed with safflower oil, because if you're putting it on a wand or something, you probably want an actual more drying oil. I know I recommended that to start with, but I think I'd change that to safflower oil. It makes the olibanum or frankincense makes a surface that soaks into the wand, and it's kind of a
Varnish.
yeah, it's like a natural varnish, but it's natural. It's not artificial. It's not, any petroleum-based products or anything. But it forms kind of a hard surface, and it soaks into the wand, and it'll actually make the wand harder and more resistant.
And I don't know exactly where I got it. I got some, frankincense ears or whatever, and I grind it up myself. So
Like anything else, frankincense can get way expensive if you get the really fancy Arabian stuff or something. We got some sent to us once, as a little packet of like Arabian frankincense or something.
So Carla says, do you think eBay would be trustworthy enough? No Amazon for me. Well, I think if you got a good eBay seller, I don't see any reason why not. Melissa says, if someone were to visit you, would it be emotional or mental? Um, it depends. I mean,
Yeah.
astral is more emotional, and mental is
Well,
mental travel is more mental.
yeah. If people can send you mental thought forms or astral. So if something comes astral, it'll affect you emotionally directly. If somebody sends something mental, it may be a mental form. For example, thoughts of anger sent mentally look like jagged things. They might look like darts or spikes or jagged lightning bolts coming at you, something appropriate. So mental thought forms seem appropriate to your mind. Somebody sends you love, it might actually appear to be lots of red hearts or big red heart or something like that. So these images we use aren't entirely inappropriate, and thought forms appear like that in images if somebody sends you the thought of something. Whereas if they send you the emotion of something, you might feel it directly. And in my case, I used to mistake, because I didn't know myself well enough, you can mistake those for your own feelings and things, and not realize they're external till you get used to it.
Yeah.
Something comes along and feels
That's why
out
the
of place.
shadow work
Yeah.
is so important, so you know exactly what you are.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and your feelings, and
But
and so
that's
forth.
basically it. The mental plane is basically a visual plane. Mental plane, visual has to do with fire in general, that type of thing. So the thought forms will all be image based.
So Carla says the only reason I'd want to astral project is so I can give someone hell in person who's across the country. Martin
Well, yeah.
says, I just wanted to let you know I live in the northwest of England in Lancashire, right in the shadow of Pendle Hill. Reading the transcripts from the witch trials have fueled my interest. I imbibed my Hollywood wand with a hawthorn tincture that I made and some pine resin I scraped from a tree. I also added some lapis lazuli that was blessed by my old Buddhist teacher. Sounds lovely.
Yeah, of course, there was a lot of the Golden Dawn was over there. A lot of the famous ones of Dion Fortune and Mathers and Burley was over there for a while, and Yeats and
There's probably some pretty awesome witch museums in England, I bet.
yep.
You might be able to see some pretty spectacular things. They have John Dee's stuff in one of those museums over there, I think.
Yep.
Since he was British.
Yep. So, yep, I'd love to see some of those things.
Yeah. It's a good spot. So, Brianna says, when I astral travel, I'd play interdimensional ding dong ditch and antagonize entities in other dimensions, then run back to my body before they could get me. I don't know why I would do this.
Probably bad karma.
Probably not a good idea. Bella says Gustave Doré was accused of occultism for his work on Dante and depiction of hell. Is there any legitimacy to that? I see a lot of occultists use his art. Well, hell is a place, a construct. What's the difference between mental and astral? Ian was just actually addressing that, so we'll skip that.
Yeah, so if you like your astral body, if you want to get the idea of what your astral body is like, imagine the feeling of taking a step forward when you're not stepping forward. If you imagine that feeling, imagine what it feels like to take a step forward. That's your astral body. If you imagine your consciousness being somewhere without a body, like if you send your consciousness into your friend's living room and you can see what's going on there, but you don't feel a body or a shape associated with it, if it's just your consciousness, then that's your mental body. That's the feeling of your mental body, of being there and perceiving.
Well, really, and the difference, there's a big difference, because in the one, you're going to have a lot of emotional stuff happen.
That's the feel of
the feel, the astral. And in the other, you're more dispassionate about it. It's like you're removed.
You're more objective because
because
you're removed from all the emotional aspects of it. Yeah. So mental travel is
safer in that sense.
Safer and easier. Yeah.
You can still see what's going on or know what's happening and stuff like that, but
It's way harder to get hurt.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier to be safe in the
Yeah.
mental travel. And also, you can go, take a ride on comets like I did when I was a kid. I did that a lot. I still do that actually. I did that last week. So Carlos says safflower. I might have some of that. I'll have to look. Seems that may have been something I used for hair skin mixed with butters. Either way, I'll get it. Thanks, Ian. And Melissa says, so if someone walks in and I see who it is, astral? Yeah,
No.
probably. But it could be mental because they could just be projecting their shape.
Usually, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably. I mean, it kind of depends, you know. I mean, there's clairvoyance, mental clairvoyance, and astral clairvoyance, and astral is usually more like feeling a presence, and the mental would be more like a mental
seeing.
image of what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. Brianna says, but I do it spontaneously and be a bit of a brat. I used to play ding dong ditch as a child, so I think I'm less mature in the astral and just play around, but some entities followed me back. Melissa said, yes, was it me or another person walking in? Brianna says, I wish I was more mature, but I'd basically spontaneously go in the astral, play with fairies, go to the other dimensions, and liberate captives, so that was one positive thing I did. Martin says, I went to the cells where the accused were held in Lancaster Castle. That'd be
Wow.
intense. I don't think I could cope with that. I mean, I
That would
remember
be,
being burned at the stake for being a witch. I know they didn't burn witches in England, so it wasn't there, but still, when I pick up on historical stuff, I get it pretty much full on the whole thing, the feelings, the emotions, and stuff like that go with it when I do that kind of psychometry reading or what have you. And so I would probably have a problem. I had problems. I have problems sometimes in museums. I was in a museum in Washington D.C. and they had a bunch of artifacts from I think the Ming Dynasty from China, and I got so incredibly spaced out in there I could hardly walk. I was not very controlled, but you know. Brianna says I'm a Gemini, so maybe I need to integrate some petty childish part of me. I don't know. Carlos says, I've had that, but only floating in my room, and it's when I push myself past the time to sleep. Martin says, I actually have an uncle whose distant relative was Miss Demdike, one of the witches actually hung. They hung witches over here. Yeah, I know. They did the burnings elsewhere. They also did crushing, though, not just hanging. Um, Crushing with stones and stuff like that. They certainly
yes,
did that
pretty
in
awful
Salem.
stuff.
And they did hanging and crushing in Salem. So, and they got most of that from England. But the reasons for doing that. But it was weird to remember being burned at the stake as a witch when I was a child. I was like 4, I think, when I first remembered that. I wasn't sure why I remembered that, but I did. And I thought later maybe it was a warning to try not to be me, but it didn't work because I couldn't help myself. I was just born weird, so it just kind of all
So
hung
for
out.
Martin and Melissa, your last two things got held, so I released them, but I don't know if they'll show up. Apparently, it didn't like hanged, I think. And Melissa says, I'd like to see you spaced out, lol.
Okay.
And I had to approve that.
Yeah, that didn't come over here. Martin says, that's pretty amazing, your memory of being burned as a witch. Wow. Yeah, not a happy memory. I had some other past life memories. Since then, I've had a lot. I mean, I've actually, the other day I was watching a TV show, and one of the things they were asking was, like, what's your earliest childhood memory? And it was Stephen Colbert talking to Lady Gaga, actually. And he said something, he quipped something, if you remember something from before you were born, that would be awesome. And then I realized that I have a memory from before I was born. And I didn't remember that until I was in my 20s. But I remembered before I was born, which would be my earliest memory this go round. It's kind of interesting. Ella says, I want to make a pocket dimension and doing whatever I want there. We'll eat all the good food, go on expensive dates, and make all the art I want rather than hedonistic, but I want to see it still.
I agree. Get it built. I'll come visit you there. Sounds like a great place.
We do have a pocket dimension that we've created, and that's the Amethyst Crystal Web Project. So we have a pocket dimension that you can visit, but it's full of amethysts, joy, peace, and tranquility. So you can't do what you're planning there. But there is one. It's pretty awesome. Melissa says, oh, geez. And Brianna says, when I hung out with the fairies, we were crafting the astral in my place. I wasn't allowed to be rebellious as a child, so it was fun.
Cool.
Graffitiing, excuse me, not crafting.
That's all right, Melissa. Any more YouTube just like holds things that have no explanation of why they hold them. They make no sense.
And then they change stuff without telling you ahead of time.
Yep. So, oh well.
Martin says, and you pursue the same course in this life? Quite courageous considering your memory, brave soul. I don't think I had a choice. Like I said, I thought maybe it was a warning to try and, keep a lid on it, but it didn't work. Like, yeah, this is what they can do. Like, yeah, that's what they did, so ouch. Bree says, I think the fairies are helping me work something out. Can we connect with our deceased animals, says Melissa. Absolutely, I certainly have. Carla says, I've never had past life memories, but I remember getting a book on the craft from the bookstore as a Catholic school kid so I could try to heal my dad's heart.
That's
wow.
Nice.
He had a heart attack. All I know is that it sure wasn't the church I turned to.
And that didn't get censored by YouTube, so.
What? Well, she didn't say the word.
Right.
She put an exclamation point in there.
I know, but the other one was just like,
I don't know.
I'd like to see you spaced out was held, and hanged, I think, was held. I mean, none of them make sense.
Melissa says, it's all okay. I'm glad to be here. Brianna says, I'll be polite if I visit the pocket dimension, I promise. Well, you can just go there and, zone and absorb the wonderful energy. I mean, the Amethyst Crystal Web Project has just been really taking off. And we had, I think, seven people were there live for the last one. And, there's a few people that would have been there if it was on a different day. And so we're getting more people in person coming. And then, of course, I put the video out of what we did afterwards. So if you're interested in doing a full moon Amethyst Crystal Web thing, you can just, I put the link to the recorded event on YouTube in our community page. So it's there. I also post it to my Facebook page, stuff. That's one of the things I've committed to doing. I just do that now every month for the full moon. Fiona says, it feels like when I'm out of my body, there's less inhibitions. Is that normal? You also look different when you're out of your body. I remember seeing my astral body once. I was watching a TV on the wall, and I thought, that's really strange. Why do I see the TV on the wall? And I turned around, and I saw my astral body hovering in front of the TV. So I was seeing the TV through my astral eyes, but I have way longer hair in the astral. I have hair like you wouldn't believe. It's just all over the place. So, yeah, kind of fun. Bella says, is video on this channel? I do it on Zoom. I don't do it because I want other people to be there to participate so I can talk to them, and I can't really talk to people face to face on YouTube. So I have, I pay for Zoom, and I put up a Zoom link, video link, and I give people the link. Somebody this last month joined like 3 days before the event. So apparently once I create it, even if it's not the time, people can check it out. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody's there yet. It's not until Thursday. So if you show up on Monday, no one's going to be there. But yeah, so I post it though on the channel, on the community page on the channel, where you can see my posts and whatnot. And yeah, so anybody who wants to, and I usually do it around 7:30 p.m. my time, which is Pacific time, so it's pretty late for a lot of people, which is why we only record the actual thing itself. We figured out how to do that. So people arrive and we talk to each other and whatnot and get any questions answered if there are any. And I don't record that part. And then people can like blank out their image and so forth, and everybody mutes themselves when we're doing the ritual anyway. And then we record that part. And then I stop that recording, and then we talk afterwards. so it stays private, but I make sure everybody knows that if you don't want your face seen by other people, then you need to, like, block your video. So depending on how you feel about it. So, but yeah, we are doing that every month. Brianna says, I wish I was more sophisticated in the astral, but it's like I feel 14 years old and not like an adult.
I think that's not too unusual in our society. I feel like my astral body didn't grow like the rest of me should have because of my childhood situations and things that I was in.
Meaning your emotional self.
Yeah, yeah. Since your astral body is kind of your emotional self, yeah. So I don't think it's that unusual.
Carla says, oh, okay, okay. Carla says, laugh out loud, Siofra. Bella says, can I get younger on the astral? Yep. I can do without the back pain. Yep. You don't have
Yep.
to have that either. Carla says, I got the time screwed up one time and chatted with Teresa for about an hour beforehand. Yeah, you guys can talk all you want. Brianna says, maybe it's trauma or something, but when I get back in my body, I'm like, why are you bothering other beings? Maybe there's an astral etiquette course. Misty says, hi, Siofra. I just found your channel a while back, and I am really enjoying your videos. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Well, thank you very much for participating. We're almost done with our live show, so if you want to participate in that next time, show up at 2 p.m. Western Pacific time. We go for an hour and a half, so thank you for being a member of our channel. Martin says, I wonder if you've ever awoke your second attention in lucid dreaming. I often wake in my dreams and have trouble actually waking for real in one. I had to just lay on the ground and dream and go back to sleep in my dreams. I've had that happen to me lots. I have had some dreams that have been so deep that I've had to wake up in the dream 3 or 4 times. And when I have one of those kind of dreams, it's like my subconscious says, we must remember this. So when I wake up into the next dream, I tell everyone in that dream about the dream I had. And then when I wake up into the next dream, I tell everybody in that dream about the dream I had and about the dream I had in the other dream. And so by the time I finally get back to my body, I have repeated this dream to, I don't know how many in my subconscious there. So I remember it when I wake up. And it's really weird. So if you do that for a while, you're not sure if you're actually awake. Like, am I really here now? It can be very disconcerting. Brianna says, yes, Ian, I think it's my emotional self. Okay, that makes sense. Ella says, I guess the astral is liberating to our emotional soul. Martin says, it was weird. Yeah, it is very
Yeah, well,
weird.
I had one that was so realistic one time that first off, I got really bored because it was the middle of the night. It was like 3 in the morning and there was nothing going on. And I was staying in a place out in the woods and I wandered around in my lucid dream outside, but I couldn't fly or do anything fun. And I knew I was asleep and dreaming. It was like I couldn't do anything. It was like just being there in a normal middle of the night, 3 in the morning, nobody around, nothing to do. I got so bored I went and jumped back into my body to go back to sleep. And then it felt weird for about 3 or 4 days after that because it was so real. It was like, am I in reality or am I in a dream now?
Yep.
So it was pretty interesting.
Ivy says, I was in a witch museum in Germany once, and it was truly shocking how many women were murdered in Europe for being a witch. Yeah, I know. Melissa says, thank you again. It's a nice gathering. You're welcome. Brianna says, I think so, fella. Martin says, yeah, me too. It's quite thrilling to wake up in a dream. In a dream? Yep, right. Not sure if I'm awake now. Except we're all in a dream together, so it's, yeah. Gibby says there was a map on the wall of Europe, and the legend showed a red dot for every 100 or 1,000. It was a long time ago, and I can't remember the number exactly anymore. And the map was absolutely saturated with red. It was so sad and sobering, very. So Brianna says, but it makes sense since why spirits just bother people for fun. They're bored.
It could be. Yeah.
Carla says the only place I felt something in Salem was the Hawthorne Hotel. We are actually coming to the end of our show, believe it or not. It's almost an hour and a half. It's an hour and 29 minutes and 25 seconds. So I guess we have to start saying goodbye, but we're having a blast. Carla says, very spirited place. So you guys want to check out my wands, go to my Etsy page and check them out. And I'll get up my jewelry and stuff at some point soon. Work on it. It's hard on my brain. I can only do on the computer for so long, and then my brain goes like that. It's like, okay, my eyes are bleeding now. I need to stop. Misty says, have a wonderful night. Thank you, Misty. Ian says, thank you all for your wonderful comments and presents. And Melissa says, have a good night, everyone. Yes, and we'll have our gray day and the rain that we need and stuff like that. So Martin says, I wonder if cuckoo clocks have any symbology. I woke in a dream, all appeared not AI except 2 cuckoo clocks in my mantelpiece. Carla says, love you guys. Have a good week, Siofra and Ian. Have a good week, everyone. Says, blessed be. Ah, yes, it's been lovely. And we find these, we enjoy. So let's just say we enjoy conversing and asking and answering questions and everything. So Ian says, blessed be, merry meet, and merry part, and merry meet again. And Martin says, thanks, lovely folk. Have a great night and much love. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. And bye-bye.